Well, well, well. It's been quite some time since we've last seen each other. Has it been 2 years already? Jesus, you've really let yourselves go. More for me to love. Today, we're talking about the first part of One Piece's Fishman Island saga, the return to Sabaody Arc, where the long-awaited reunion of the Straw Hat crew finally happens, and I have some thoughts. If you're new to this watch-along series, hello and welcome. This is where I react to the One Piece anime as a first-time viewer and give my first impressions of the story. In this video, I'm going to be working through my thoughts on this post-Timeskip arc. If you watched my last video, I said I'd be talking about the Fishman Island saga in 2 parts, but unfortunately, turns out I'm a big fat liar and it's gonna be 3 parts because I had a lot more to say about these 6 episodes than I was expecting. Trust me, I'm halfway through the Fishman Island arc now, and it deserves as much of its own attention as it can get anyway. So, for now, with the Straw Hats finally getting back together, there is a ton to cover. Beware of spoilers, you scurvy dogs, because we're about to sail onward to this highly anticipated reunion. Hey, I lied. Before we get into the rest of this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like or dislike button whenever the mood strikes ya. Small efforts like that actually go a long way to supporting the series, so this video gets pushed more widely in the algorithm. Sorry I'm such a compulsive liar today, but now my lying is done. Or is it? Can you ever trust me again? 2 years ago, the Straw Hats all set off on their own journeys in order to prepare for their adventure together in the new world. As is tradition, after a good old-fashioned shonen time jump, we have a couple episodes at the very beginning of this new saga, getting us acclimated to how everyone has changed in that time. That's pretty much the entirety of the Return to Sabaody arc, even though there is an overarching plot going on that eventually ties everything together. I will get to that, but first, I'd like to take some time and talk about everyone's new style. The first character we see is, unsurprisingly, Monkey D. Luffy acquiring his straw hat after 2 years of training with Haki. This is when we get the reveal of the X scar on his chest that Okainu left him after the battle at Marineford. I really like the idea of using that X as a visual differentiator between pre- and post-Timeskip Luffy, since physically he doesn't change as much as some of the other characters. Luffy is just too iconic to change up his design much, but the scar is the perfect tweak. It's simultaneously a fun nod to the pirate adventure they're on, but also provides an almost superhero-like symbol for him. Unrelated to his appearance, we see that Luffy is also finally in on the joke, with Hancock being in love with him, and I thought that was a great way to refresh that relationship, which I felt was getting stale in the post-war arc. Him blatantly telling Hancock over and over that he's not going to marry her so casually is hilarious, but we also get a statement from him that he's never going to get married. Personally, I could never see Luffy being in a relationship, so that makes sense, but to have it verbalized so blatantly right after this time jump was interesting. I'm thinking perhaps Oda was just trying to tell some shippers to chill out, but maybe our rubber boy had a bit of a sexual awakening on that island. Next up, the first person we see return to Sabaody was actually Zoro. What a great little surprise. Given his penchant for getting lost, I would have expected him to be last, and I'm sure Oda knew that and wanted to subvert expectations. The way that he uses his arrival time to mock Sanji later on is also perfectly in character. Oh yeah, and he's rocking a fat scar across his left eye. Still no explanation for how that happened, and seemingly no one cares enough to ask, but presumably Hawkeye Mihawk cut his face up real good during training and just took Zoro's eye. I think this is a really cool look for Zoro, who despite some sick style changes, looks very much the same as he did before the time jump. So everything I said about Luffy's scar, minus the superhero symbol stuff, applies to Zoro as well. Why change up the iconic characters? Probably the biggest surprise for me was finding out that Brook is now an international rock star. I really did not see that coming, but I love it so much. The electric guitar at the end of the post-war arc finally makes a ton of sense. He's such an insane, wacky character, and he even verbalizes in this arc that his role on the Straw Hats is just to make everyone's adventure more fun. He definitely succeeded here. Soul King rules. But his long-armed manager betrays him and reveals his identity to the Marines. I thought this was a clever way to bring Brook's original notoriety back into play, so that everyone on the world stage knows that he is this somewhat notorious pirate from 50 years ago who is now a skeleton man, rather than just some random sack of musical bones the Straw Hats picked up. Upon this betrayal, Brook plays one last jam for his adoring fans before escaping back to the Thousand Sunny on a flying fish. Speaking of the Sunny and flying fish, we find out that Hachi, Duval, and the Rosy Life Riders have been guarding the Sunny this whole time, and Sanji shows up to thank an extremely injured and still gloriously handsome Duval. Sanji has matured quite a bit. His wispy facial hair has now solidified into a thin goatee upon a squarer chin, and he's even switched his hair to cover the opposite eye. He sure has grown a lot. Since spending 2 years in the Kamabaka Kingdom, Sanji's appreciation for women has grown to new and uncontrollable heights, which will be a surprisingly important plot point for the next arc, so I'll get to that later. But I just have to say that Sanji freaking out about every lady he sees was goddamn hilarious. The voice acting for these moments was top notch. Nami's developments do not help Sanji's situation at all. Let's cut right to the chase. Nami has been gifted, or cursed with, enormous milk mountains by Oda's pen. Fan service? It's never been clearer, but hey, whatever. It's not like when the story called for it, Nami wasn't already wielding some mighty tatas. Now, they're just full-blown airbags. Do I wish Nami didn't develop cartoonishly hilarious boobs? Yeah, I would have preferred her design to stay within reason, but I'm assuming I'm in the minority for the target audience, and the rest of her redesign I actually do like. I think the long hair is again a really good differentiator. It fits with the vibe of a more experienced pirate lady, and it makes sense given she seemed to be growing her hair out starting before the time skip. Nothing much else to say about Nami narratively, other than she has learned some weather tricks like we knew she would. Usopp also doesn't have much narratively going on in this section, but his redesign may actually be one of the most apparent. Honestly, Usopp now looks like his own cool older brother. The base design is the same, but he looks much more physically fit, his hair has grown out substantially, and his overall style is just vastly different. I really like this redesign. I feel like just from seeing a side-by-side of pre- and post-timeskip Usopp, you can tell he really went hard training his body and gained more confidence in himself too, enough to at least show off those pecs. Also, he has incorporated the plant life from the island he was trapped on into his slingshot attacks. I don't know how I feel about this. It kinda seems like a weird fit for him to be a guy with plant-based attacks all of a sudden, but at the same time, so far I've liked how he's used them. I'm curious to see if Usopp has got any other new gizmos up his sleeve. Franky is another character with an insane redesign in this arc. This dude looks like a hulking machine monster, and this is probably the redesign I'm the most torn on. It is cool that Franky upgraded himself, but I don't know, I feel like the design is maybe a little too busy and loses some of the elements I loved about Franky's original design. No longer does he have his trademark pompadour, now he has a head that can apparently be any hairstyle, but the default is just a buzz cut. Franky's Popeye the Sailor Man forearms are also gone and replaced with massive red metal rectangles. While I do not hate this redesign, I think it's the one that I like the least. And on a narrative level, Franky just spends this arc hanging out on the Thousand Sunny and showing off his tiny hands that come out of his big hands. Next up, Nico Robin. So, Robin's changes are a bit more subtle. Really, she just lost her trademark bangs, and for some reason, she's gotten a lot paler from her original tan. I feel like this was an animation choice that makes very little sense. Personally, I think she looked better with her darker skin tone. It really helped other elements of her design pop. Fashion-wise, Robin's also rocking an outfit that I could not see a pre-timeskip Robin wearing. It's very open and floral. I think it fits with the vibe of going to a Fishman Paradise Island, but I am hoping we see some more classic adventurer outfits on Robin in the future. I'm a sucker for her Indiana Jones hats. Narratively, again, not much to say about Robin here, other than she has not yet told anyone that she spent the last 2 years presumably working directly with Luffy's father, Dragon, as part of the Revolution. She does arrive as one of the last 2 Straw Hats, which does seem a bit out of character for her, so I'm thinking she has been keeping pretty busy the last couple years, but that's purely speculation at this point. I'm dying to know what she's been up to. And finally, The character who has the most narrative significance to this story arc is our sweet little reindeer boy, Tony Chopper. Now, Chopper didn't change as much as I expected him to. It has been 2 years, and he is a young lad, so I was expecting him to be more tween than child, but physically, he's more or less the same. In his base form, he does seem a bit taller, but that could easily just be because of the updated animation for this portion of the series. Maybe in his regular reindeer form, he does seem a little hornier, but really, the most significant change in him is that he's got a different, bigger hat. Personality and skill-wise, we don't really see many changes in Chopper. He doesn't get a chance to show off any new medical knowledge, and he certainly hasn't gotten any more street smart. This leads me to actually discuss what the plot of the Return to Sabaody arc is. Only took me more than half this video to get here. Much like the audience going into this arc, Chopper has expected all of his friends to change over the last 2 years, and he stumbles upon a few misshapen and distorted imposters of his friends and believes them to be the real deal. There is a whole fake Straw Hat plotline going on in this arc, where a fake Luffy is using the reputation of the Straw Hats and their disappearance 2 years ago in order to build up his own massive armada of pirates under his false banner. While I wasn't enthralled with the storytelling on display in regard to this plotline, I do think that it was classic One Piece comedy. It pokes fun at the cliches of post-Timeskip character reunions in shows like Dragon Ball and Naruto, while at the same time indulging in those same cliches. As a fan of a good Timeskip, I could appreciate the joke of what if everyone looked way worse afterwards. Not only does Chopper believe these people to be the real deal, but so do the inhabitants of the slowly dilapidating Sabaody Archipelago, and, more importantly, so does the Navy. So, the Straw Hats are all walking around the archipelago and meeting up in small groups, with Nami and Usopp reuniting in a bar, Frankie preparing the Sunny, and Sanji stumbling upon some classic hijinks. Sanji hears about a pirate who accidentally got on the wrong ship that descended down into the sea, and immediately knows who that pirate was. And what do you know, Zoro comes bursting out of the sea with a ship he cut to pieces. What a great reintroduction to this character, still an idiot, but showcasing incredible power similar to that of Hawkeye's introduction back at Baratier. Zoro and Sanji don't skip a beat with their dynamic, going right back into old habits, and I loved it. The pair pause their burgeoning fight, testing their new strength against one another when they hear a commotion going on in the distance. Luffy has arrived on the archipelago, and just like with their connection over not recognizing Sogeking as Usopp, Luffy and Chopper both fall for the trick of the fake Straw Hats. He is led to where the fake hats are running their recruitment drive, in quite the clever disguise, and we see that the fake Luffy has actually amassed a ton of recruits, which just goes to show how much weight the Straw Hats carry these days as notorious pirates. The Navy decides to break up this gathering, and we see Sentomaru arrive with some pacifistas to back him up. Well, after the fake Straw Hats are revealed as frauds, Luffy's ingenious disguise is seen through, which could have only been done due to the hyper-advanced technology of the pacifistas. Not to worry though, because Luffy utterly destroys one with a single punch. Then, Sanji and Zoro come rushing in to take another pacifista down together. Holy shit. Wow, wow, wow! This was a great way to show just how far these characters have come in the last 2 years. It took everyone's effort to barely bring down one pacifista the last time around, but now they can one-shot these guys. Big time scary power boosts. After this, we have a tender and powerful moment between Rayleigh and Luffy as Rayleigh comes to check in on the commotion. Luffy declares to him that he is going to do it. He is going to become the king of the pirates. Rayleigh looks on proudly and tells him to go straight to the top, and then covers for the Straw Hats so they can make their escape. Across the archipelago, we also see that everyone's allies over the last 2 years are providing cover for the crew. We see Perona, the Sky Wizards, Heracles, Chopper's Big Birds, the Kamabaka Kingdom Warriors, and even Hancock blocking an incoming warship. I'm a sucker for these mentors passing the torch kind of moments. I really appreciated that we got to see the people that helped the Straw Hats get to where they are, shown some last bits of love as the crew is finally reunited. On the Coded Thousand Sunny, with the ship prepared for an undersea voyage that has been long promised, Luffy finally arrives. But, in classic One Piece fashion, it's time to escape. The crew all briefly reconnect, but there is no time for any in-depth details on anyone's journey. Luffy fawns over Franky's cool robot upgrades, Sanji is infuriated that Luffy got to spend time with the Snake Empress, and Chopper begins to worry about Sanji's health. Then, in a truly cathartic moment, Luffy thanks his crew for waiting the 2 years, and then christens this voyage with a command to set sail for Fishman Island. I really loved this moment in particular. While it wasn't a big joyous party or an in-depth reunion with everyone telling stories about what they've been up to, it felt like everyone easily slipped right back into where they last left off, just a little bit older and wiser, as if their position on this crew is where they truly belong. Overall, I thought this small arc was a great reintroduction for this crew, with some nice hints of their own solo adventures and developments, while feeling like a legitimate restart of their journey. The fake crew thing was funny enough as a wacky catalyst, since things can never go right for our main characters, but I was happy enough to see it wrapped up quickly. I'm always a sucker for the first few episodes after a time skip, and these definitely did not disappoint. I feel completely revitalized, like the story truly has entered a new era, and I couldn't be more excited to see where this story goes. Onward to Fishman Island. I hope you didn't mind me focusing on such a short arc for a whole video. I tried to include this as part of my next video on the first half of Fishman Island, but I just had too much to say. The next video I release will be on the Fishman Island arc through the end of Jinbei's story about the island's recent political history and his connection to Arlong. That will be out in 2 weeks, so if you like this and you're interested in that, then kindly make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Now, I want to know, what did you think of the Return to Sabaody arc? And, more importantly, which Straw Hat redesign do you like the most and the least? As of right now, I think my favorite redesign is Usopp's, and Franky's is my least favorite. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through, you utter psychos. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one, but until then, I'll shut up.